This computer. Hey, Lois.
Hey man, how's it going?
How excited, how thrilled I am to be here today for yet another episode. Lois, another episode of. I always have to have my information in front of me. What are we here for? Robert's search for wellness and well-being. Meet amazing experts like Lois Wyant, ready to support you and me change how we all feel for the better. And I think you and I are episode 14.
Woo!
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad I'm not 13 because that's bad luck. So 14 is good.
I might have skipped over 13.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I
you
don't
said I
remember,
am
but
13.
yeah, just skip over and go right to 14 from 12. It is Thursday, October 24th, and how thrilled I am to have my very, very dear friend, Lois Wyant, originally from Indiana in
Mhm.
in the United States of America, USA, originally from Indiana, now living in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And Lois and I first met sometime during COVID online, and we've remained very good friends since. And I think she's pretty cool. I think she's pretty cool, which is why I invited her here today as an amazing expert on Robert's search for wellness and well-being, because she has lots to share on the idea of changing how we all feel for the better. And we just finished an interesting conversation before we hit the record button. We got into a conversation about some of the similarities and differences around our faiths and our religion, being that I'm originally from Montreal, born and raised in Montreal, and born a Jew. And Lois refreshed my lousy memory that you're Christian. But you said something interesting to me. You said you have neighbors across the street. Am I correct on that? Who are Jews, but follow Christ's message.
Mhm.
Tell me about that.
Well, I don't know if I can tell you much about it. I mean, I've come across this a few times, in that there are people around who were born Jewish and still maintain the Jewish traditions, the Jewish faiths, but they've also included Jesus in their belief. So, you know what? They get like the best of both worlds because they're the chosen people and now they're following the chosen Christ. So, how awesome is that?
That's like a two for one or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
I've heard of something like that years ago here in Edmonton. A friend of mine at that time introduced me to something that he called Jews for Jesus.
Oh, that's cool. I think
Yeah,
I've heard of that before too. Yeah.
yeah, and he took me to like a ceremony, and very cool. It was very cool. And why I just so adore having Lois here um, is because she's deep. She's kind of deep, but she's super humble, super humbled, and very much. She doesn't. Lois doesn't go around and flaunting her awesomeness, right?
Oh.
No. And Lois is very kind of subtle and humble about who she is and how she not only shares who she is with the world, but her constant invitation to people to come into her world and share stories. And I believe after having had an opportunity to be interviewed by Lois on two occasions. That's the gift that you bring around changing how we all feel for the better. Because it's almost like you step aside and create this welcoming platform or space for people to be themselves and share their stories. And through those stories and your stories, we connect. Am I somewhat in, on the right track with that?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that the relationship is very important. And in fact, I was just, when you were saying that, I was thinking that, so we moved back in February
Hmm.
to a completely different state from Indiana to North Carolina. And we were here for about 3 weeks, got all unpacked, and we were starting to work on yard work and things. And we're thinking, we're not in a large community, but I mean, it's fairly good size.
Hmm.
And thinking that we've only met like three people.
Hmm.
We've only met three neighbors. And I thought, well, that can't be. We need to meet some neighbors. So so I made these little cakes, and my husband and I went around, put them all in a wagon, and we went around to the neighbors, and I made a little business card type thing. They had our names, our phone numbers, and our email addresses. And we went and took these cakes to our neighbors and said, hey, we're Jim and Lois. Here's our contact information. If you need anything, let us know. Here's a cake. Welcome to being our neighbor.
Yeah, and almost it was on one level, it was the icebreaker, right?
Yes.
On a very
Mhm.
simplistic level, it was the icebreaker. But on a deeper level, it was an invitation to relationship building. The act of bringing the gift of food, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was. It was
Yeah.
well, the dinner table and the sharing of food.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in the Jewish religion, the meal and bringing family
Yeah.
together for,
It's a big
yes,
thing in the Christian foundation too.
yes.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
I've
churches
looked,
often have kitchens.
pardon
Do you know what
me.
a pitchen is? Churches often have a pitchen. Do you know what a pitchen is?
I haven't heard the word pitching. Tell me
Oh,
about that.
okay. So that's where everybody brings a dish to share with everybody else. Maybe you call it something else. But, like sometimes the meats will be provided and everybody brings sides and desserts. And sometimes you just bring everything. So you bring like a pan of lasagna or a
Wow.
green beans or whatever. And then everybody just shares and sits down and eats together.
I have never heard of that in a synagogue.
Oh,
And you know what? I would love to attend an event where everybody is sharing, sharing the experience of what they've prepared at home. So it's bringing a little bit of home,
yeah.
into community. And
And you
and
bet that every woman there is going to make sure she brings her best dish. So
and do you what do you bring?
my favorite thing is to bring a dessert, but I also have a chicken chili and a chicken lasagna that I love to make.
Is that a recipe that goes way back in your family?
I got it off Facebook.
She just found it online. She Googled something.
Exactly. But I have them saved, so I don't have to lose, so I won't lose them.
If you're here watching this conversation, and you should be here watching this conversation, I'm Robert Mandelson, the creator and facilitator of Powerful Play Experiences, brings people together. Wow, how ironic! But I'm here today for something that I call Robert's Search for Wellness and Well-being. Meet amazing experts like Lois, ready to support you and me, change how we all feel for the better. You're all about bringing people together. And as I said a few minutes ago, you're all about the invitation to connect. And the connection is step one towards a deeper relationship, but you do it in a very subtle, humble, and friendly and caring way. You are so not about the pizzazz. You're
Oh
so
yeah, I'm not pizzazzy.
well, and uh, that whole way of being, might it not be the right time, this particular time in our country's history, our world's state of affairs, for us to be more like that?
You know, if it's in you, if that's who you are, I think we should always be who we are because that's going to make us feel more comfortable. But I think that we should, in the way the world is now, I really would suggest people to be more kind. You know, it's and we're getting ready to go through an election here in the United States, and it's going to be messy, and people are not going to be kind. And you know, I just my prayer is that we get through this with kindness.
And describe kindness. What does that look like for Lois and your family and the values you exude or show or share? What does kindness look like?
Well, I think in today's society, I think kindness is the fact that we may disagree on topics, we may disagree on candidates, we may disagree on faith, but we still respect each other as a person.
Hmm. So the act of bringing food to your neighbors, your new neighbors, although you didn't know these people, you were more than happy and open to celebrating these people who you had not yet met, regardless of what might be viewed as as something different, because you're just celebrating the you were celebrating the idea of neighbors and
Mhm.
community and building community. Am I kind of off base or on base with
No, I
that?
think that's very true. I mean, like you said, food is something that people are kind about. You know, I mean, if I would have brought them like a baby rabbit or something, then they were like, you're kind of weird. But, you know, bringing a small cake and saying, hey, let me introduce ourselves is like one step beyond than just knocking on the door and say, hey, we're Jim and Lois, we live over there. You know, it's a little bit more of just a connection and a little bit more of a kind gesture.
And I want to say that I get it. And I don't just get it because I'm saying that I get it. As Sharon and I moved into our home here in Beaumont, Alberta, about 10 minutes south of Edmonton, the capital city of Alberta, the capital city, about 24 years ago. And so we didn't know our neighbors directly behind us, nor to my right or to my left. So I did just that. I went door knocking. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I did it because um, uh, I didn't want to feel the uneasiness of everyone going into their backyards with the massive fences that divide us all, and having the fences as a physical barrier that would create an uncomfortableness because they don't know me and I don't know them. And maybe there'll be some suspicions, some uncertainties, some uneasiness. So I felt because there's fences all behind us,
Yeah,
best.
fences are. You know what? The other thing that really changed our society, automatic garage door openers.
Oh, hold on, hold on,
You
hold
know,
on. Hold on.
oh,
I'm getting comfortable here for this. This is okay. I have go. This is cool. Tell
yeah.
me.
So, you know, you think about it like before we had garage door openers, you know, people had to get out, you know, go open their garage door. So you're opening your garage door and
Oh
you see your neighbor, you
yeah.
go, hi, you know, hi. You know, you're getting ready to close your garage door, you wave to neighbors. You know, now you don't even get out of your car and your garage door is closed. So you just don't see people. You know, people don't sit on their front porch anymore. People don't, well, I do. I love gardening, so I'm out for probably 3 or 4 hours in the evening doing gardening. And, every person who walks by, I say hi to, but garage door openers changed all of that because now we don't really have to see our neighbors.
That is mind blowing. And you know why I say that? You're so right. You
Mhm.
are so right. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood until the age of 12 or 13. This is a long time ago. A Jewish neighborhood in Montreal. And it was a neighborhood with duplexes.
Mm.
And so there was one garage, a single garage for the, we used to call them the downstairs family and the upstairs family. But the garage door was open all the time because the kids would go out and we'd open up the garage door because that's where our bikes were.
Mhm.
And that's maybe where our baseball bats were and our ball gloves and our hockey sticks, our hockey net. And so it was sort of a mini recreation holding, and during the course of the day, kids from the neighborhood would come because you might be hanging out in your garage cleaning your bike, or just cleaning the garage, or maybe just playing hockey cards together. And then when we moved into a very non-Jewish neighborhood when I was 13, um, my parents bought a home at that time. We now had a big double car garage. Some
Mm.
homes had single, some had double, but it was the same thing. It was the same thing. The garage door was open, and everything that you could possibly own that you couldn't fit into your house was in the garage. So it's a little bit of a play center. I remember looking at my friend, now that we're talking about this. My good friend Brian lived just across the street, and I'd wait to see his garage door go open because I knew that he and his father, Brian and his father, were in the garage tinkering around with radio controlled, like planes, RC airplanes. And so, okay, I'd look out the window. Okay, the garage door is open. Now I can go outside. Oh
Mhm.
man, you got to write about this, or let's protest or something. Ban the electric garage. It is hindering society's relationship building or something. How did you put that all together?
I heard it from somewhere. I did not bring that up all myself. I heard it before and it just really stuck with me.
Wow. Lois, um, what do you love to do besides all the loves that you've shared with me so far? What do you love?
Well, I especially love to hug grandbabies. Yeah. So, so I have the Giant Builders as my podcast. And I
Okay, hold on,
really,
hold on. The giant builders.
yes.
And so um did the name just pop into your mind one day?
Yeah, really it did.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I think God put it there.
The
Um,
Giant
yeah,
Builders podcast.
yes. So my thought is that we as people, we are constantly building giants, whether it's our business, our children, our spouse, our lives. We're constantly building giants. And for me, there's 4 pillars to building giants. It's spiritual, health, family, and business.
Hmm.
And the important thing is that it's in that order. So for me, then the spiritual is I start my day with a devotion and prayer, and I have my internet company. I have an internet marketing company called JFT Web Marketing, and the JFT stands for Jesus First Today.
Wow.
So I had these little trigger things in my life just to really focus me on my relationship with Christ. So then the next important thing to me is family. So I spend time with my grandchildren now that they're close. I spend time with my husband every night. We watch a movie together. We play cards or backgammon together. And that's our thing. That's our life. That's our time together is in the evening. We do at least those two things. And then my health is important. So I have now joined a gym and I go to this gym at least 5 times a week. But I love gardening. And so, last night we were planting 3 new trees. And so we have tons and tons of flowers. And we're in a new growing zone because there's a big difference between Indiana and North Carolina. It's about 11-hour drive south. So we have a longer growing period and we have plants that we don't know anything about.
Hmm.
So that's really interesting. And then there's the business. So I had a new perspective just
Hmm.
this week. Isn't this interesting? So I read the book. Okay, I didn't read, I listened to because we had that conversation about reading. I listened to the book, The One Thing.
The one thing.
And I don't remember the author, but you can find it on YouTube. Um, so they said that, and this is nothing new, but I put a new perspective on it. So 20% of what you do brings income to your business. 80% of what you do is just busy work and it doesn't bring in income. And that's true for basically everything in your life. You know, 20% of the people help you out of the 80%. 20% of your business is your workers work more than the other 80%. There's a 20-80 balance to basically so many things.
And
But
just to politely interrupt, we use that stat in the field of career development. I've
mm,
been working in the field of career development for close to 24 years now as a certified career counselor. And so we say to people, 80% of jobs are not advertised and 20% are. So you need to network and make connections because it's the 80% of jobs not advertised are in the hidden job market. So wow, I didn't know that 80/20 was used somewhere else.
yeah, so many places. So here's what I figured out. Between the time frame that I usually get up around 6, I usually go to bed sometime between 9 and 10. So I figured that 20% time is about 3 hours of my day. All
Hmm.
right. So 3 hours of my day is the amount of time that I'm really spending on making money with my business. So now what I do is I put a focused time of that 3 hours. Now, sometimes it might be an hour and a half, because I also find that if I spend too much time on one thing, I get distracted. So like, okay, so earlier today I say, okay, I'm doing my 3 hours now. And I was working, and then all of a sudden in my head it popped, oh, I wonder what my email is. And I like, oh no, you can't do your email because you're not done with your 3 hours. Go back to my 3 hours. And so there's a thought in that it helps me focus on this 3 hours is for whatever it's going to be to make money for me. Answering emails is not going to make money for me. Looking at my calendar and deciding what I'm going to make for dinner is not going to make money for me. So that 3 hours is completely focused on what's going to make me money. So then that means the rest of the day, I can do whatever I want. So I can answer my emails. I can upload some of my podcasts. I can go plant flowers. I can go babysit my grandson. As long as I got my 3 hours in, whatever I do the rest of the day is my 80%. So it gives me more flexibility. I don't feel guilty now if I didn't get this and this and this done, because if that was part of my money making I would have done that in my 3 hours. So now if I don't get to answer any emails till after dinner, that's okay. So it gives me a very comfortable feeling of my day because I got my 3 hours of solid work in. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. that I'm going to say two things, and we'll start wrapping things up here. I want to say two things. First, um, if you're watching this awesome conversation, thank you, and share it with others. Not because to promote this, but to invite people to meet Lois. She's all about the invitation. She's all about inviting people into her life, her platform, her story, but she doesn't dominate the conversation with by promoting herself as an expert. She's very humble and very subtle about changing herself and changing others. Feel better and be better. So first, how do people find you?
You can, well, I'm on social medias either as Lois Wyant or JFT Web Marketing. If you want to drop me an email, it's info at J as in Jack, F as in Frank, T as in Tom, webmarketing.com.
And Wyant is spelled Wyant. Lois is also here on LinkedIn. She's here on LinkedIn. So that's the first thing I want to say is I wanted to politely interrupt and say, listen, Lois is all over the idea of changing how we all feel for the better. And I want the audience to know that I have learned or discovered stuff about you today. I did not know at all. I did not know at all. So the second thing I want to say is I need your help. I need your help with this 80-20, 3 hours a day making money approach. Uh,
Mhm.
let's be real here, or let's be realistic here. I suck at that. This, and the awareness, being fully aware that I suck at that, one of the ways that I'm attempting or trying to address this um, is through conversations with my doctor about medication for attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Um, so I've gone on.
Okay, so you need to change that. Okay, so it's not attention deficit disorder, it's attention deficit gifted. It's ADG. Okay. So my husband is ADG, and we have defined that it's it's a special gift. And if I think of our American history, I could probably name tons and tons of people who were the founders of our country that were probably ADG, because otherwise they would not have founded our country. So you are gifted. It's not a disorder.
I'm listening. I might not have my eyes on you,
No,
but
that's okay.
no, and I'll tell you why I am listening. And I'm trying to find a blank spot in my book here to write that down. That's what I'm
You can
doing.
listen to the recording.
We've recorded this. So it's ADG.
G. Yeah, gifted. Attention deficit gifted.
I can I give you can I give you another definition of ADHD?
Okay.
And it's totally in line with your definition. And
Okay.
a very good friend of mine who goes by the name of Daphne, she gave me this definition. So ADHD is attention dialed into a higher dimension.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Att-
Ah,
Attention dialed into a higher dimension. But we're
yeah.
going down the same path. And what I mean by that is I just I want better control of focus,
Hmm.
the ability to um, uh, 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 start and finish one or two tasks without allowing the distraction to pull me away. But that's my reason for opening a conversation with my doctor. It has nothing to do with my self-worth or my value because I know that my anxiety, my high anxiety, and a little bit of the, ability to, be distracted and go in different directions, is a wonderful technique in my play workshops.
Oh,
Because,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
because the anxiety shows up as high energy. The ADHD shows up as, wow, we did a lot today in short bursts, right? Through play. And people say, wow, this was awesome. And in my head, I'm going, yeah, it's my mental illnesses that drive the So I'll often say to people living with and managing a particular mental illness, I'll often say, go be paid for your mental illness. Find a job that fits your mental illness. So coming back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, we're going to connect again because I want you to help me with this. Put in a, um, I want you to help me be better, change how I feel for the better through this 3 hour 80/20 thing. I'm so bad at that.
Mm.
It's and you know what? And I don't even beat myself up anymore. It is what it is. And what I mean by that is by the end of the day, I'm not beating myself up. But during the course of the day, I'm doing a lot of beating myself up.
Yes. I sense that you're probably HSP too. You're probably a highly sensitive person.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, HSP, highly sensitive person.
And what was the other one once again? A,
ADG.
so attention deficit gifted,
Mhm.
and a
Oh, HS.
highly sensitive person.
Yeah,
Is that a real thing?
it is.
Wow.
So
Oh, that's,
you're probably more in tune with what all the things around you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will often say my women's intuition is my greatest gift.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to um, understand and read people and situations,
Yeah.
uh, and then feed back to people, and they're astounded. I met a
Mm-hmm.
girl at a Toastmasters meeting the other day. I went to visit friends who were in a Toastmasters club. And
Okay.
there was a young girl sitting next to me. And
Mm-hmm.
during the break, she described who she is, what she does, and her life. And I summarized back what I heard
Oh, okay.
a little bit deeper. And her
Yeah.
eyes just went poof. Just, how did you know all that? I don't
Mhm.
know. You told me in your words, and my intuition was telling me this, and like I made some intuitive assumptions about it, and you give off a certain vibe in what you say and how you look. I was reading that as well, and I could see in how you sh showed yourself,
Mhm.
portrayed yourself in some of your stories, what you love and what you don't love. You can just see it. Uh,
Mhm.
so highly
Yeah, that's
sensitive person.
definitely HSP.
That's it. Oh, I'd love to learn more about that, and maybe put that on my resume.
Yeah, you could.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. There's a small percentage of people who are HSP. It's pretty magnificent.
Oh. Would those be what is the word? People who are truly gifted at reading like people like beyond intuitiveness.
Yeah, you have a deeper understanding of people. You can see more about who they are and what they are.
Yeah.
You can read a crowd better.
Yes.
Um, you you have more feelings about things. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more about that.
Okay.
Let's wrap it
Yeah, I
up.
think I have an interview coming up on my podcast of a person who's HSP. I am not HSP, to be quite honest with you. My husband is HSP, so I've learned more about it from his experience.
Well,
But I do have somebody coming up on my podcast that's HSP that talks about it.
I think you have I think or I believe in having experienced the Lois Wyant uh, um, or having lived the Lois Wyant experience with you. I believe you have characteristics of HSP.
No, I really don't. No. Just because I can see it, the trueness of it in my husband, I have more of a passion than I have HSP.
You've been listening to the amazing, always exciting, always surprising Lois Wyant in North Carolina, the United States of America, USA, our awesome neighbors to the south of us. I'm here in Beaumont, Alberta, Canada. I'm Robert. I'm that guy. Check out Giant Builders. How do people find out more about Giant Builders, your podcast? Just Google Giant Builders.
I go to thegiantbuilders.com.
Okay, thegiantbuilders.com. You rock, girl. And we'll get together soon because you've enlightened me on ADG, HSP, and 3 hours and a whole bunch of other things like garage doors. Lois and I didn't. We talked about the impact of the electric garage door.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the interview, before the recording, we talked about the negative impact of the electric garage door on relationship building in neighborhoods, how it's negatively impacted relationship building in our neighborhoods, the electric garage door. And she's going to write a children's book.
Yeah, that's not on my, I can't put that in my 3 hours.
I can see you writing a children's book, and it would be like, oh my God, like it would all be about,
Garage
the
doors.
yeah, well, it'd begin with, sort of, the beginning would be neither high nor low. It'd just be da 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 da, da. And then, oh no, the garage door, the negative garage door, and all the bad things cause. And then, oh, we've changed, things are better. We've changed the garage door, that kind of thing. Like, so it ends on a nice high note. The middle of the book is like, oh, this terrible garage door, how it's impacted relationship building. But then it like ends off with all the kids in the garage because we've changed the garage door.
It sounds like you already had the book planned out. You should write
Well,
it.
but before you go, you're so funny. Here's my all-time favorite children's book.
Oh, the place. Oh, Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
In the field of career development, of which I've worked for now 24 years, my peers, we believe that this is the greatest, all-time best career planning, career development book ever written. So, do you have a copy?
I do not. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, and then read it from the point of view of life development, career development, and you'll
Mhm.
see it starts off with, "Yay, things are awesome, things are pretty cool." Oh no, the dark side, the darkness.
Oh.
It moves into the darkness, but then it comes back here. It's still in the darkness. But then the book turns around and ends on this very high note, very high
Oh,
note.
that looks pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes you through a journey. And we all, as a career counselor, I'll always say to people, read this book because it validates, that life is a journey. Get focused on your passions. Don't get so focused on the destination. Know that the journey has its, peaks and valleys. Just read this book and it'll validate all that for you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Have a great day and we'll connect soon.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thanks. Bye.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye.